Okay, added a new audio source. Okay, that looks like it should be working. Can you hear me now? Wow, what a fail to begin. So many no sounds in chat. But now I've got a yes. Awesome. Okay, now that I think every time I plug this microphone into a different USB port, I have to add it as a different audio source, OBS. And I guess I must have plugged it into a different one than I have used previously. So 555 DJ Talks. He knows the game. He's the man. All right, this is awesome. So yeah, welcome to the first of potentially five live streams in a row. One a day, every day for 5 days, which is pretty exciting for me. Just posted a little thing up on the Instagram for Small YouTubers Boost. I've got this this period of like 5 days with no work, so I've decided to go hard and get serious about some stuff I haven't gotten serious about before. So that's all very exciting for me. And one of those things is definitely these live streams. I've been making some enhancements to the Facebook group with some help from Elizio Way, who's been really just great. Sort of like a business coach. He's just fantastic. And yeah, I got a new video out on Vacation Possible, so that's what's going on with me. What's going on with you? Operation Life is here. Says, what's up, Ray? Stupid Robot Fighting League had good things to say about Cam's music. I love that song. If you watch a lot of the videos on Vacation Impossible, we use that music every chance I get. The Long Way Home is here. Welcome. Awesome. Good to have you back. And of course, Stupid Robot Fighting League in the house. Speed Streak says hello. I think that's a new face. Can't wait to see Ray's beard. So there you go. I gave it a little, sort of a definition trim and also a slight length trim today. So since I was going to be on camera, let's see. Scored an interview on Make Magazine today. That is awesome. I'm not familiar with that particular thing, but I think the name of it kind of gives it away what it's probably about. So that's pretty exciting. That's fantastic. So I got to hand it to Stupid Robot Fighting League. They have often taken sort of unexpected and very creative paths towards finding their audience. And so whether it's partnering with a band, they made a video here on this channel about that, or, ESPN, Make Magazine, other things they've reached out to. So like that's always a lot of creativity there and great flexibility, and thankfully some great success with that. Let's bring up their channel here. I'm not doing a review or nothing for that, but let's just go take a quick look. Why isn't my autocomplete, just taking me there? I'm freaking subscribed. Get it over with. 666 subscribers. Satan? My church lady's no good. But anyways, it is still criminal to me that they have less than 1,000 subscribers. They should have hit that like a year ago. It's no criticism of them. It's a criticism of the world. The world, get your act together. This is content. I'm using the C word, content. These are videos and you won't find anywhere else. There's no one else doing this, as far as I know. So you gotta sometime after this live stream, go check out Stupid Rough Fighting League. They are amazing. The Long Way Home. I'm so excited to finally have a video that took off, and I got nearly 400 views the first day. That is awesome. Yeah, anytime you get more than 100 views the first day is a pretty great, great feeling. Let's bring that channel up. Why not? So, popular uploads. Toe amputation reveal. Is that the video you're referring to? I mean, it has to be that or the Cook With Me freezer cooking. No, wait. Hold on. That's weird. Because... is it for this channel, or do you have another channel? That's interesting, because that's from 1 and 2 years ago, respectively. So maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing here. Let's go sort by most popular. Yeah, no, it seems to be. Maybe it's real-time views I haven't updated yet, or there's a different channel. Anyways, Brickworld Therapy gives us a couple of waves. Welcome, welcome. Stupid Raw Fighting League was welcoming the Long Way Home. And of course, DJ Talks is saying, hey, y'all. And then there was my stretch of no sound. Thanks for your patience as I worked my way through that. That waiting music is not the best. Ray, your audio is not working. Fair enough. I'm a big fan of that track, but we got others. Yeah, and then my audio came back. I'm always behind in chat. It's just the way of things. I have a cooking channel, but in the past I made a couple of videos about also being an amputee. They've done well over time, so I've decided to make one yesterday, and it exploded. So what I should have done is, let's go by newest. 3 hours ago, 1 day ago. So I'm guessing, yeah, okay, that's 297 views, but I'm guessing that that's probably just lagging behind against your real-time numbers. So like if you go into your YouTube Studio app and you look at the real-time, those numbers are often more current than what you see displayed on the screen there. So yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, I think that, I don't know, but there's like the Venn diagram of amputee and then cooking, and so I wonder where that overlap exists. What kind of an audience might exist there as well? Where, I mean, I don't know if there's particular challenges or something, or if there's like particular health dietary concerns or anything about that, perhaps during a recovery period, medications, things like that might tie into food things. But if you can tie those two dimensions together, that might niche down really well in a way that could find you a real core audience there potentially. But I'm thrilled to hear about how your video is doing well. It was interesting. I was expecting the video that was blowing up to be a food video, just because with everybody quarantined and locked down, or whatever term you want to use, social distancing, etc., that like people are obviously spending a lot more time at home and creating their own meals. And while that's kind of a curse to the restaurant industry, you know. It's one of the Ferengi rules of acquisition from a novel, I think, is even in the worst of times, somebody makes a profit. And it's just the way that, you know, economies and things reorganize themselves, sometimes temporarily. And so for a lot of my favorite restaurants, I hope temporarily. But so it's interesting because one thing I have noticed in the Facebook group is a massive increase in the number of cooking channels. And in a way that's been a blessing for me, because when I'm reviewing posts, if you mention the food you're making, I can probably give you post pre-approval. Now, post pre-approval in our Facebook group is something we only give to about 5% of the members. And these are the people who have shown an ability to consistently follow the rules. And the biggest rule that people have trouble following, where they still remain in the group, is that they don't describe their video or channel when they're writing about it in a post that has a link. So if I see somebody writing and they said like, oh, hey, you know, on my cooking channel, we cover cooking with canned goods and vegetables or something like that, then I'm really inclined to give that person post pre-approval, because they've knocked that description out of the park. And so if they did it once, I'm confident they'll do it again. I also, when I'm doing that, I have the ability to see if they've been moderated in the past. And so if they've got a relatively clean slate, I give them post pre-approval, and then after that, whatever they post goes directly to the group without a moderator or admin review. And that's quite nice. Cuts down on the work for us, and particularly now, that's particularly important. So those of you in the group, please write good descriptions. I want to give you post pre-approval so badly, because I spend so much time on the review queue, and I've really come to, particularly over the last couple of days, realize that like I could be, I think, so much more useful doing things like this than behind the scenes, you know, just deleting the 86th time somebody, you know, dropped a bare link. So, you know, that was kind of a tangential string of consciousness thing there. But that what I was saying is that a lot of these cooking channels, either being created or just coming to life or investing more time in or joining our group, a lot of those have really good descriptions. It's interesting because gaming is sometimes a frustration in the group, because somebody thinks that if they write gaming, then that describes their channel. And they don't understand that a third of all of YouTube is gaming. So if you're not explaining what you are more narrow than a third of the entire platform, we're not going to improve the post, because people still don't really know what they're clicking on at that point. It's, you know, that's a 1 in 3 shot. It needs to be a little bit more narrow than that. If you watch any random video on YouTube, there's a 1 in 3 chance it's a gaming video. We want people to have better odds with at least slightly better information than that. So gaming channels, in a way, that's kind of a curse, because they say gaming. I'm like, I described it. And it's like, did you really? Not well enough. We require minimum 2 words. Sometimes we waive it for, like, you know, travel or comedy or a couple other specific things, but by and large it's 2 words, and that's only 1. The other thing is, though, on the other side of that coin, where I absolutely love the gamers, is that if all they have to do is mention the game they're playing, and then again, similar to mention the food you're making, then I can give you post pre-approval, and you become part of that elite 5% within our group. And so it's interesting because people kind of complain often in the group about various things that they see. Sometimes they see something that they would rather have not seen. And sometimes it's something that violated the rules, and sometimes it's just something that violated their sensibilities. If it's something that violates the rules, they assume that we saw it and we approved it. And I just explained to you in explaining what post pre-approval is, well, no, it could be someone that we've granted that access to, and then they abuse it. And so then when we are aware of it through a report, then we'll go remove their post pre-approval. The other thing, and I hesitate to mention it because it's like Yoda said in Attack of the Clones, what was it? If known our weaknesses, multiply our enemies will, or something to that general effect. One of the problems is after posts are approved, people can edit them. And when they edit them, it doesn't go back for approval. I've spoken directly to Facebook representatives and asked them, begged them repeatedly, to make that not be the case. And they say they're working on it, but as it stands right now, those are two scenarios where you could see something in the group as a post that a moderator has never seen in the state that you're seeing it. And so for some reason, people assume that if it's in the group, we've definitely reviewed it. Not always true. 5% of the time at minimum is not true. And that also we in some way endorse and approve it when it's not really that. I like to think of our group as sort of the town square where people can freely express their opinions with certain rules of the road. And that's where the moderators and myself come in, is enforcing these simple rules of the road. 4 rules. But enough about the group. Just saying that, if you describe what you're sharing, whatever platform it's on, Twitter, Reddit, my Facebook group, wherever, if you actually describe it, then using those words as text, not relying on the preview or the thumbnail or the title or description, actually typing out a couple of words shows a little effort, but that becomes so much more searchable. Because if you were to search, I don't know, gaming or Overwatch or something specific, Tetris, whatever, in our Facebook group, there could be tons of people who shared videos about that. But if they didn't write that word in the text, it wouldn't come up in search. So, it's frustrating to us because we're having to try and teach these people these things. It's frustrating for people in the group because they see things that it's like, well, that's not described. They're not following the rules. And it's also, unbeknownst to the user, frustrating for them because it's cutting them out of a potential audience. Don't hide what you're about. Shout it from the rooftops if you can. You can't fail with a beard. I'm not going to argue. Let's see here. I do Let's Plays, reviews, discussions, reactions, top 10s, and theories on my channel. Holy God, that's a mouthful. That is a lot. So Let's Plays, presumably video games, although I guess you could do a Let's Play of like a board game and some other things, but I'm going to assume for now that that's gaming. Reviews, presumably reviews of games. Discussions, presumably discussions of games. Reactions, presumably of games. Top 10s, again, presumably of games. Theories, again, presumably of games. If that's all tied into gaming, okay, that's actually pretty good. But if you're all over the place, if you're doing a Let's Play of, I don't know, A Link to the Past or something for a retro game, then you do a review of The Last Jedi, and then you have a discussion about presidential politics, and then you do a reaction to a music video and do your top 10 favorite movies of all times, and then you do like a conspiracy theory about the Zapruder film, then that will be an absolute mess. Now, I'm not saying you can't do that, but I'm speaking from the algorithm standpoint. So if the algorithm doesn't know what you're about, it's not going to show you anywhere because it doesn't want to be made to look foolish, honestly. When I search something and I get something that has nothing to do with that thing, I lose confidence on the platform that I'm on. So I think that's a very high goal of anything that is a search engine, whether it was intentional to be a search engine or not. You've all heard it probably a million times. Number 1 search engine in the world, Google. Number 2, YouTube. Number 3, now, Facebook. Isn't that an interesting development? So you see, I hope, why we keep trying to bang it into people's minds. When you share something on Facebook, type out in words what it's about, because people will be searching there. So we think about the SEO for our videos on YouTube. Maybe you also think about how searchable it is on Google, right? But as Facebook has really risen into prominence, I mean, it was never like, the neglected stepchild, but it's really, really like more so, I think, probably than ever. And so they've focused on like connecting and sharing and communities, but I feel like, and this was made clear to me, Eliseo and I were talking about this, and he made some really good points the other day, that it's really becoming a search engine to a degree as well. And so I think the people who get that, who understand that, who are prepared for that, who optimize for that, can take advantage of it, and they're going to find an audience and grow quickly. But it's really slow to sink in for some people, and I can't tell you the hate messages I've gotten from people. I described my channel. I said it was my channel, and it is my channel. I'm not a liar. My channel's good. And I'm like, none of what you're saying is relevant to this conversation. What's the channel about, dude? He's like, why are you interrogating me? I'm like, I just cannot. Like, at that point, I just gotta walk away. And it's a shame because maybe they're making great content. I don't know, but I don't even know what they're about at that point. So that's just my mini rant. Please describe your content, folks, whoever you are, whatever you're doing. But again, you're cooking, you're gaming, it's pretty easy. Say what you're cooking, say what game you're playing. If you travel, say where you're going. So many easy ones there. There are others that are harder. If you're doing a story time vlog, okay, story time vlog, technically a couple of words, still don't know what it's about. That could be about anything. That could be about a vicious murder, the storytelling of which could be triggering for someone. Allow people to have some control over what they expose themselves to. Your story time could be about the time that you kicked some celebrity retro gamer's butt at a convention. So your story time vlog could actually be gaming. It's easily possible. So story time and vlog are like, that means it's a video. It doesn't tell me what it's about. So if it's a story time about a relationship you had, okay, relationship story time vlog, fine. Relationship vlog, whatever, okay, got it. That's clear, But try to make these things as clear as possible, and that goes in so many different places. It's not just our group. I think it's like life skills almost. Okay, my chat's going a little crazy here. The funny thing is my boyfriend did all the editing before, and this one I crappily edited myself, go figure. Well, and it's interesting because trying to associate a causal link for what gets you views is really tricky. Like I had this thought. I was like, oh, I could open up this video with a controversial statement. I was like, what? My controversial statement would be, big YouTubers can't tell you how to succeed. It's like pretty controversial statement, right? And then I was thinking about it, and it's true for some and not true for others. It also depends on how you define big. So like Roberto Blake can tell you, probably a Mr. Beast or a PewDiePie could probably tell you. I think they understand some of the technical stuff behind the scenes. But if you think about the people who have been getting a lot of attention over the last couple of years, these meteoric rises of these heretofore unknown individuals, the chick with the snake in the van, the dad that did the how-to videos, these people, it's really interesting because everyone, like, it's fascinating and it's unusual. It's sort of a black swan, if you will. It's a rare event that can have a large impact. That's sort of the metaphor of the black swan. But the thing is that those people, when they blew up, it was, I mean, you can call it luck, you could call it perfect timing, you can call it so many different things, but it wasn't a carefully implemented strategy that is duplicatable. So they hit exactly what a large segment of the population needed at a particular time. Maybe they got shout out by a famous person. Maybe they had a built-in audience. There could be so many different things, but it's not like they figured out an algorithm hack. Right? It's not like they figured out how to optimize their thumbnails or titles. And the way that I know this is because they kind of say it themselves. When these people blow up and they get an interview, and so somebody goes and asks them and wants to talk to them, they all say the same thing, don't they? I didn't expect this. I don't know how this happened. And it's interesting that because they're the meteoric celebrities that are getting the attention, people want to emulate and copy them, that people look to them to see what they can learn. But the thing is it wasn't a strategic long-term marathon deployment. That was a meteoric rise that just happened to hit on a bunch of things at the right time. Now, I'm not saying these people didn't work hard or don't have talent. They do, presumably. I'm not that familiar with them. I'm just saying that when you go to them for advice, they don't seem to have any. And so what I like to do is I'll watch a Roberto Blake where he'll break down why something was successful. Obviously, people being stuck in their homes, and it's hard to get a handyman because of all of the restrictions, and so people are having to solve problems in their homes themselves, and they're spending more times in their home, which is putting more stress on their home, so things are breaking, and they're having to be a little bit more independent in different ways than they have in the past. You could be a great stockbroker, doesn't mean you're a great plumber. Those are potentially different skill sets, I would think. And so, and then people are feeling isolated. So if you're able to watch someone who has a personality that connects and engages with you and gives you either actual or simulated human connection, these are a lot of things that people might be emotionally looking for right now, and they might not even be able to put it into words. It could simply be a case of it just feels good. I enjoy it. They're funny. I like them. It's relaxing to me. It inspires me. It energizes me, whatever it is. The part of the brain that would actually be able to break down why they're watching it might not have put a lot of time into it and might not be able to explain it very easily. So it's interesting when people look at like certain channels that blow up. The Dad, how do I channel that everybody's talking about right now? It'd be remiss if I didn't mention it, I suppose. Dad, how do I, fix the toilet? Sure, tie. Dad, how do I become a success on YouTube? I don't know that's where you want to go for that. So if I can flex a little, I think here is where you might want to go for it. Because I also think about some of those people who had the meteoric rise. And they got to a certain level, and they tend to kind of plateau, but they find a very comfortable, presumably living at that plateau that they land at, and that's great for them. And of course, a lot of us dream of that too. Wouldn't it be great? But I also sometimes wonder, I'm like, what if their tag game was better throughout all of that? Would they have plateaued at maybe a higher level? What if their thumbnails were a little bit better, or what if their audio was slightly higher quality, or what if? And so these little technical things that I try to cover here, whatever your path or journey is, you're going to have some sort of chart that it's going to go on. And my effort is to come in and just try to push this up a little bit so that whatever, path that you're on, maybe you're in decline and maybe I can help slow the decline, I don't know, but through a bunch of small things you get what I call micro boosts, and then it'll improve the trajectory, is the theory, regardless of what your path is on. So imagine if some of those people also did those little technical things that you and I can do to get a competitive advantage. They would have grown even greater, faster, plateaued at a higher level, and ended up at maybe a higher income level if that's something you care about. And so that was just something that I thought about. And so the challenge that is getting to is this causal link. We can see a correlation, that this happened and this happened at the same time, but that doesn't mean that one caused the other. Causation or correlation is not causation, is the saying. And so a couple of examples of that is, basketball players tend to be tall. So does playing basketball make you tall? The sidewalk is wet when it rains. So does wet sidewalk cause rain? That's a couple silly examples, but that's sort of the point, is just because something happens at the same time doesn't mean that they're causally linked in the way that you think, and sometimes it's the other way around. And so people often talk about, and they're promoting their content in the best way that they can at the time, I understand, but they say something like, I spent 3 hours editing this 5-minute video, please give it a watch. I mean, anyone in the chat, would that make you want to watch it? You don't know what it's about. It could be footage of a grisly murder. It could literally be watching paint dry. It could be an amazing comedy set from the 80s that's like accidentally homophobic. Like, you don't know. Or it could be something great. And so when people, and the thing is I get it. You're speaking from your perspective, and what you've done is you've invested the time and you're proud of these technical things. And the problem with YouTube is, even when you're big, I think it can be thankless in the sense that your audience doesn't see that part and they don't necessarily care. And there's no fault of them. That's just not what they're there for. If your channel is about how to edit videos, and you came up with a great shortcut that saves you tons of time, you shared it in a video, and it's saving everybody else tons of time or something, that's great. But that is a behind the scenes channel. That's the point of it. Most channels are obviously not that. Most of them are about cooking and travel and makeup and all these other things. And so the editing is not that. That's something that's separate. It's behind the scenes. And as they say, people often don't like seeing the hot dogs being made. So the wieners or whatever. And so sometimes people do, and you can do behind the scenes stuff. That's great for like a Patreon. That's what like your true fans and they really want to see more of you. Putting some of that on Patreon might be a good idea. I need to, be a little bit more effective on Patreon myself in terms of creating content for that. But that's great for that. And that's also a great place to like experiment because there are people who already like you and they're not likely to troll you. So it's a safer space. I recently made like an off-color joke there because I'm like, I've got an off-color joke and I want to make it because I'm 13 and I don't care. And so I made it on my Patreon because I know that those people would eat me alive. And so like that can be sort of what that's for. But so the fact of like good editing does not equal good views. That's actually the truth right there. That's it in a nutshell. Good editing does not necessarily equal views. What good editing can do is get you better retention, right? So if you want to look at the retention of different videos and see who is doing the editing or what editing approaches you took, I think that's the relationship. Because no one knows, looking at your thumbnails or your titles or your descriptions or so many other things that you do, your banner, your profile, your comments you make on other channels, how you behave in social media, none of that is tied to editing. It's not until they start to watch your video that the editing has a chance to make an impact on your audience. So if you want to know, is my editing effective, there are certain things you can do. You could post in our Facebook group, include a description of what the video is about, and ask people, hey, is this editing good? For this video of my cat climbing a tree, whatever. That's one way. You can get direct solicited feedback. You could pay someone to do an audit or something like that. You might be able to do like a feedback for feedback thing with somebody else. So like, hey, I'll watch one of your videos and give you feedback. If you watch one of mine, give me feedback, and then we can kind of work together. That's awesome. Feedback for feedback is lovely. I love seeing YouTubers helping out each other that way. Yeah, you're getting one more view. Yeah, you're getting some watch time, but that's not why you're doing it. The value is that feedback. That's what it's really about. And so I love to see something like that. In fact, I'm thinking in the Facebook group of doing something like one day a week. We've done it intermittently in the past where it's like, this is the feedback day. And so it's like, post your video on this post, make sure that you provide feedback for at least one other video. Just like go in with an open mind and kind of be respectful but brutal at the same time, because niceties don't help. It is you want action items if you can, and stuff like that. And so those are some of the ways you can find out about your editing. Absent an external source like that, you can look at your analytics and compare your retention. And you can also look, even on just one video, you could look at the retention and see if there are points where there's a substantial drop off. Oh, that's where I used the star wipe. Maybe star wipes aren't really professional. Homer Simpson likes them, but who else? Like, I've been watching Chris Voss's videos, and a lot of his have these ridiculous transitions, and it takes so much of my patience to not click off that video. I would be very curious if the first ridiculous transition, it has a drop off. I would not be surprised. Thankfully, his content has a lot of value and stuff. I find it really interesting. It's about negotiating and things like that, which has become really relevant for me lately. But yeah, so that's the thing. So let's put things in their proper causal place. Good editing, it can help you with retention and watch time. In terms of views, that's your thumbnail and the ensuing CTR, click-through rate off your thumbnail. That's your title. That's your description. That's your tags. That's your social sharing, keyword alignment, keyword research. Those pieces all go into views. And then once you get the eyeballs, it's the editing and the content that holds the retention. And so, I would like to take this opportunity to address people who are constantly asking, and again, they don't know better, so it's not like I'm upset with them or anything. It's just repeatedly frustrating a little bit. They're like, oh, how's my subscriber to view ratio? And I'm like, that is not a thing. It is just really not. Roberto Blake recently said this really, really well, I think in one of his live streams, which was, views get you subscribers. Subscribers don't get you views. And I've been saying that for a while, in very much the same way. Almost no one's going to subscribe to you unless they have watched at least one of your videos. If they are subscribing to you having not watched a video, That's problematic. That is probably not a real subscriber. They will probably not stick around. Either they will unsubscribe in the future, or YouTube will catch them for doing something dodgy and naughty and shut them down. Either way, can't count on that. So, you know, it's how many views become subscribers. That's something you can look at and consider, but it's tricky. For example, one person could view 20 videos. So if you have a 20-to-1 ratio there, 20 views to 1 subscriber, it's actually a 100% success rate. You got that one person who was watching your stuff that day. So those numbers can be a little misleading too. And so I worry that people get caught up in these numbers and these comparisons. People constantly post in the group, here's my stats for my first year. Am I doing good? There's no objective measure for that. I understand why they're asking and they want feedback. They're just, honestly, to be brutally honest, they're not asking the right questions. Yeah, I think it's interesting. So for example, this video here, it's interesting because I'm looking at the thumbnail and it's kind of got like letterbox distortion on it. And the aspect ratio is a little bit off. So I'm wondering if the picture of presumably you, the person there, took up the whole frame without sort of the letterboxing blur effect, I think would possibly look a little bit more professional, and maybe it would do better. Now, if it's already gaining substantial traction, don't mess with it now, because you don't want to mess with that algorithmic inertia that you've got going that's working to your favor. But I'm just thinking like that's really good. And so again, I was just thinking like, oh, if it was just a little different, I wonder like how much better it might be doing. But again, don't mess with it because it's going good. One thing also I'll point out, I'm seeing here, that's a 14-minute video. There is potentially a time factor as well. If it's getting a lot of views, it could be that it's generating a lot of watch time. And so that does get to that editing piece. If the retention is high, you get higher watch time, and that can drive views that way. But you'll notice there's a couple links in that chain. So sometimes it's hard to drive that connection. And that can be really tricky. One way that you could see that that's the case is if you see the traffic source is recommended. If you're getting a lot of recommended, then yes, that very well could be the editing. Because if it's tied to, if you got good retention, good watch time, and a lot of the traffic's coming from recommended, then yeah, that probably is the editing and the content, but it's just as likely the subject matter that you're picking. And so I just caution people against thinking that like it's a single one-to-one relationship between a cause and effect practically anywhere on YouTube. It's never that simple. It's part of why I'm here to try and help demystify some of those things. DJ Talk says you should do a video on Vacation Impossible saying vacation is impossible now. The thought had occurred. It's just kind of funny because like the whole Vacation Impossible thing is like people say it's impossible and then I want to show them that's not the case. So I worry that would go off of sort of the why and the spirit of the brand in that regard, but I'm definitely aware of the joke. That's for sure. I'm feeling it. My channel is been just about stuck at my number of subs, says Operation Life. I haven't looked at Operation Life in a little while. Let's go take a peek here. What might be going on there? I'm looking for the green tree, I think. Boom, number 1. Nice. 5,000 subscribers, doing very well there. And I love this. We focus on fasting, health, and lifestyle videos now. When we started, we offered RV travel, product reviews, and travel. So that's pretty good. Got to it right away.
Thanks.
Oh, I should turn my speaker off. And I should also just do this mute here. Don't want any copyright issues here. So you're concerned about your subscriber growth. Kind of digging your thumbnails, though. You got some different themes going on there, but they're all really eye-catching. Your thumbnail game, I would say, is strong. So I bet your CTR is pretty solid. I'll bet that. Let's take a look at Channelytics. Now, this is a free function of TubeBuddy. If you are on YouTube and you don't have TubeBuddy, get it, because, like, you're not trying. I did a consultation with somebody today, first paid one, which was very exciting for me. And literally the first thing I made them do was just download the free TubeBuddy. I walked them through it. And the funny thing is they'd been trying to YouTube on their own. And then they came to me for some help. And the first thing I did was get them the free TubeBuddy. And they go back into their channel with TubeBuddy. And they're like, oh my God, this is so much easier. I think just by getting them to do that, I probably gave them the whole value of the whole call. I mean, we did a lot more than that. We went for 2 hours, but it blew their mind, and I was like, yes, this I got to get people to, like, this is how you got to do it. Just see it. And so this is it here. Channelytics is one of its many features. There's over 30 free features in the browser plugin. Affiliate link down below. Check it out. Like I said, even the free version will change your mind and maybe your life, or blow your mind and change your life. I gotta tighten that up. That's not a great phrase. So you had this amazing day. I see here. May 19th, 6,000 views. That was a good day, May 19th. I'm gonna bet a video came out that day. But I bet, look at that. The 19th and 20th, 30 subscribers each day. Something happened. Your subscriber growth hasn't really been stagnant. I mean, I don't know. There might have been ups and downs. I could check Social Blade. But let's go see the 19th. There's going to be a video there. Really close. The 18th. 8 videos. Wow. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So the problem here is we're seeing a lot of, like, we've got this huge hill and some valleys down here. And so what I would recommend, and I mean, you've got more subscribers than me, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. I make no claims to expertise. But if we could normalize this growth pattern and turn it into a curve or a line rather than this roller coaster, that's beneficial for a couple of reasons. For one thing, I think then it provides a little bit more predictability to the algorithm. People talk about consistency all the time, and that can sometimes be part of it. But I like to, consistency is kind of vague. It's like, oh, so I just need to say the same words every time? Or I need to release a video on every Tuesday? Like, what is consistency? So I try not to use that word too much because it's too broad. I think that in terms of regularity, and predictability is part of it too, the algorithm doesn't like to take chances. Nor do people really. There is a bias towards success. People are already successful. People think like, hey, that guy was in that that $1 billion movie. The next movie they're going to do is probably going to make a lot of money. But maybe that wasn't it. Maybe they were in like a famous franchise or something, and it was like Star Trek, and the next one they did like an art film, and they didn't translate. But if you can have sustained success, I would rather have a slow and steady growth than like the spiky version that gets you to the same place. It's less chaotic, it's more predictable, and the algorithm, I think, would like you more for it. So they know that this person is consistently posting. Now let's get to this 8 videos in one day thing. Now I know that this isn't perfect. Sometimes where it determines that one day ends and the other begins. So sometimes it says I did 2 videos in one day when I never did. But I'm going to guess that this is pretty close to accurate, because 8's a lot. I'm going to say probably at minimum you did 6 on that day. And so I think that's problematic. I think that part of the challenge there is within a 24-hour period, you're asking people to watch 8 different videos. And when you do that, your videos are actually competing with and against each other. And there's enough competition on YouTube that you don't need to become your own competition. But whereas if you have a period of 8 days where one video comes out each day, you build this momentum. And that, in terms of both the audience and the psychology behind it, of like, hey, I watched this video yesterday, he's got a new one out today, cool. He's like, oh, he's got 8 videos. I don't know. Which one comes first? I don't know if I want to watch all that. I want to watch something else. There's that, but then there's the algorithm, and it's like, okay, it loves that kind of consistency. But a spike of 8 videos in one day, it's kind of like, what is this? It's anomalous, and it doesn't do well with anomalies, unfortunately. So I think that that's part of it. I would look also at the 8 videos you put out that day and see what kind of traffic sources was one of those 8 videos particularly successful versus the others. And then you can double down on either that traffic source or that kind of content in terms of growing your channel. Now, I am curious here about how this will show on Social Blade. Now, Social Blade, they put some of their stuff behind a paywall months and months ago, so it's not as great a free tool as it used to be, but it's still fairly decent. Let's see if we can get kind of a feel for what's been going on, because TubeBuddy's great for showing a positive change in subscribers, but if you were losing some, then it doesn't. Okay, you didn't lose any over recent memory. That's good. I would have been concerned. Interesting here. But again, it's this roller coaster you're on. May 10th, 10,000 views. The next day, 3,000. Then everything else sub 1,000 until the 19th. Again, that 19th, big subscriber day there, 30 plus. 6,000 views. There's an obvious relationship there. And again, the causal relationship. Views drive subscribers, not the other way around. So, you know, that's pretty good. Just looking here. And this is month to month. So, and you'll notice that there's often some correlation between these two. When these two don't correlate, it's when the video doesn't have a successful conversion to subscribers, or it's only popular with your existing fan base, or maybe there's no call to action. And call to actions can be tricky. But it's interesting. And so you've been on a bit of a roller coaster, it looks like. And I'm sure that I'm hoping that it's been a fun ride for you. But where you can have, and I mean, I don't want to brag or anything. I'm just going to switch over to my channel. And again, you got more subscribers than me. So, you know, it's not that kind of a comparison, but just showing, like here, where it can have a slow, consistent growth. Everything here plus is what's been happening in the world right now. This is my travel channel. So as you can see, starting in February, everything went over a cliff. But it's when I have sustained, consistent content that I start to see these growth patterns emerging. Maybe my channel there wasn't the best example, but as much as you can seek to normalize the curve, I think that's beneficial. No, it's that channel. It's the second or fourth video. Okay, I think I found it eventually. Midas is here. How can I grow my channel? That is such a broad question. That is like, so how do I become rich? How do I do money good? Not meaning to mock you or anything. It's a fair question. I'm just saying that it could mean so much. Let's take a peek here. One of the challenges is the name of your channel. It's a poor keyword score. So I'm curious how many subscribers you have. It might not be easy to find you. Let me try to find you. You see how far I'm scrolling here, right? And it's kind of like a grad photo with a blue background, I think. Something like that. Can't even find you. So I think my basic advice, not knowing anything about you, is that your name is super common. And that can be okay. Sometimes it's necessary or accurate. Sometimes people use their actual name and it's a relatively common name. There's a lot of reasons that can happen. Holy God, I can't find this channel. But if you have less than 100 subscribers, I would very seriously sit down and think about your name, your channel name. Because the other thing about your channel name is it doesn't tell me anything about what your channel is about. If you're a gaming channel, you could be Midas Gaming, Midas Touch Gaming. I don't know. It could be a lot of different things. You know, if you're a travel channel, it could be Midas Tours the World. I don't know. But, you know, there's the story of King Midas who turned everything to gold that he touched. So it's a pretty common thing. It can mean a lot of different things. It's an oil change chain of companies in my neck of the woods. There's a lot of different things that this could be. Or auto repair place. I don't know. I don't use it. And so the name is super generic. And I can't find you based on that. So there's those two problems, super competitive and not descriptive. And furthermore, looking at your profile picture, and again, I don't mean to be harsh, but if I'm just here saying nice, polite things, then it's not going to help you grow any. But the picture, like I said, from what I can tell in chat, it looks like it's like one of those grad photos, but with a blue background. So that doesn't tell me too much. That makes me think that you could be about anything and just happen to choose a grad photo with a blue tint on it as your profile picture. It could be that you're sort of a personality channel, and those are really problematic in terms of algorithmic success. Particularly, people say like, oh, it's harder to be a success on YouTube now than it used to be. I don't think that that's true writ large, but I think for those personality driven channels where it's like, it's just about what I do throughout my day. It's like, how amazingly awesome does your day have to be that that's going to gain traction? If you don't have a built-in audience, people don't already have a reason to watch you. Why do they care that you shopped at Walmart today? There's very little draw for that. It's 7 o'clock here on the West Coast. This is where we like to say thank you to our first responders, our doctors, our nurses, our scientists and stuff as they're dealing with the current thing. So I want to add my claps to the sound that you're probably hearing from my neighborhood. Do very much appreciate it. I want to include people who work in grocery stores, delivery drivers, UPS, the pizza place, those places that have been open throughout this entire crisis and have found ways to move forward. But obviously, particularly those medical professionals that are, frankly, trying to save our lives. So thank you. I want to add my voice to that wonderful noise that hopefully you can hear. Getting back to Midas, if your channel is about school photography, that'd be interesting. Like if you're a company and that goes and you take these grad photos, that photo would make really great sense. That would be on brand. If it's about school and studying, then that might make some sense too. I think it incredibly unlikely that your channel's about those things, but I honestly don't know. Long Way Home says, I think I have post pre-approval. I think you do too. People are so often easily offended nowadays, it's ridiculous. However, breaking the group's rules is breaking the group's rules. Yeah, I need to toughen up about that stuff, I think. I mean, I'm all about learning, and I want to give people a chance to learn, but if they're just going to keep misbehaving, it's not learning. And so it's tricky telling one from the other sometimes. I'm thankful that you pre-approved my post because it does save waiting time to get approved. And like I said, if I could, I would love to take that 5% to 10%. That 5% shift would make a massive reduction in the amount of work for myself and the mods. If we could get it even higher, like, hell, 50% would be amazing. 90%, 95%, like, that's what I would want. But it just hasn't gone that way, unfortunately. I'm hoping that one day, maybe. I don't know how to get there, though. Let's see, I have my eyes on Canada for a Stupid Robot Fighting League competition. You can be my first builder. I don't know that I have the skill set for it, but maybe that would be pretty cool. But you can, minimum, if it's anywhere on the West Coast, I'll be in the audience, if not doing more that I can. Midas again says, hi, how can I grow my channel? And again, I need a clue, at least a hint. Give me a hint of a clue as to what your channel is about, and maybe I can tailor a response. But right now, as it stands, that's like how to grow any channel, not just your channel, because I don't know your channel or what you're about. How to grow any channel? There's tons of tip videos here on this channel. A lot of the things I'm talking about for specific channels will apply to others, but there's such a broad question. It's not like I can say, well, here's my secret, trick. Although I suppose I could say my not-so-secret trick, get TubeBuddy. Do that. If you don't have that, go get that, and it will open your eyes to things you've never seen before. It will help you. It is your buddy along the journey because it makes helpful suggestions as you go. One of the things that I was talking about during this consultation I did earlier today, when she was seeing the tag suggestions, particularly not those 3 that you get with the free version, but as you type, how it gives you those 3, and she was seeing those and they were mind-blowing for her, and that was great. It was fun to watch. But also it sparked an idea in me, and that was, those suggestions that you're seeing there that you can't use because they're inaccurate. Your tags have to be accurate, or you could get your channel struck down for being misrepresenting what it's about. That's something that's important. You got to tell the truth on YouTube. That having been said, she said, oh, I would love to use that. I could do really well with that search term. And so I said to her, I'm like, well, it sounds like you've got a future video topic. That's maybe the predictive tag text in TubeBuddy when you're uploading or editing a video. Maybe that can be a source of new topic ideas. People are constantly asking in the group, oh, what should I make my next video about? And I kind of tend to ignore them because for me, when I see that, I think like this person has no passion. For my entire life, I've had videos I've wanted to make. There are videos that I wanted to make in 2001 I still haven't shot yet. And so I don't get people who are not sure, like they don't have any ideas. And so those people, my judgy kind of first thought, I guess, is like, you need to take a vacation, you take a break. I mean, I'm a travel guy. Vacation's always my answer to every problem, right? But I'm like, you need to go experience the world. You need to go relax. You need to go play a game. You need to do something else until an idea strikes you that you can't stop thinking about. You can't put it down, and then you go. And the thing you make from that could be amazing. But the thing you make because you got it off of a list that somebody else made or some random person on Facebook told you to make, your passion's not going to be there. So you're going through the motions, and at best, I think you'll probably end up being a carbon copy of someone else. And so they'll just watch that someone else instead of the poor copy. But if it's something that you feel, if it's part of your why, Start with Why, Simon Sinek. Highly recommend this book. There's a link down below. If you're driven by a why, then that improves everything. You want to say, how do I improve the quality of my video? How do I improve my performance on camera? You know how you do that? By giving a damn about what you're making. And then everything else comes naturally. You don't have to go to a class. You don't have to remember a trick. You don't have to have a checklist for that because you feel it and you think it potentially constantly, potentially obsessively. You know, and that I think is where that comes from. And so, but I did kind of fall ass backwards, I think, here into a thought about, hey, if you are having trouble finding your next thing, see what kind of predictive text options. You know, you can do it here in YouTube. You know, in fact, here, let's help Midas right now. You could do a Fortnite video. You could do a video about a golden llama, which I presume is part of the King Midas thing. Midas challenges. I don't know what that is. You know, a lot of and that's one of the predictive text, whether it's the TubeBuddy keyword or Google or YouTube or Facebook. I think that's one option that people can use. Hey Ray, the last time you looked at my channel, I was posting about RV life. I've since rebranded. Yeah, I've noticed. I picked up on that. Have you been doing better with fasting health videos? And do you still have your old RV videos up, and are those still performing for you? I wonder how that rebrand is going. The long way home. There are dietary restrictions with my condition. I am turning gears in my head on how to do this, cooking with an amputee show, so to speak. And it doesn't have to be your whole thing. It could be one playlist. It could be a recurring segment, or it could be the focus. I mean, ultimately that's up to you, and you can play around with it. Maybe if you try a couple videos and see how they perform, if they perform better, and again, it's not just about that. If they feel better, if they give you an artistic sense of fulfillment better, then if you get those two, then well, hot damn, yeah, go all in is my advice. But I think that, yeah, it's about finding how is your experience particularly unique? And this goes to everybody, particularly if you're in a very crowded niche, makeup, gaming, lifestyle vlogging, whatever that means. If you can figure out what they call it your differentiating value proposition, if you want to use business marketing speak, which I'm just stealing from, honestly, Simon Sinek's books. I never took those classes. But what it comes down to is, and you've probably heard this a lot, people want authenticity. They want people to be authentic. So you speak to what you know and what you've experienced and what you're passionate about, what you care about, what your why is. Can't say it enough. Because honestly, technologically, TubeBuddy will make the biggest difference for your channel. Content-wise, knowing your why will make all the difference. Those are the two pieces that are bigger than any other tip I could ever give you. That's why I rant about them so much. Because I see so many people. They're pretty, or they are passionate, or they're talented, or they have great ideas, but there's something missing. Well, maybe not the passion, because it's the passion that's missing. Or they're passionate about YouTube, but they're not specific about what they're trying to accomplish. So the why is, I think, those are the two things. If you've got TubeBuddy in one hand and your why in the other, then you're ready to fight the world. So that having been said, if it's authenticity, then you're speaking from your experience. And so what makes you unique? What are your experiences that are, different from others? And it's funny because as I'm saying this out loud, I'm thinking that some of what I do isn't that unique. On my travel channel, I go on cruises. Millions of people do that. Not right now, but, usually. So what makes me unique about that? Could be, what I try to do with it in YouTube. My sense of humor, my personality, and the tips specifically. Generally, it's like a family motto. They go left, we go right when it comes to travel. So, for example, here's a fun story. Little segue. Little story time for you. Travel story time. See, story time can be anything. I was going to Europe in 2010. And it was going for 2 weeks, and we had limited ourselves to 3 cities. So we decided we were going to do London, Paris, and Rome. And so I booked the flights, the city hoppers, the train, and I was getting the hotels figured out, and I had all of that figured out. In Rome, I ran into some challenge with the hotels where we actually had to stay fairly far outside the city, but it was in a really nice Melia hotel. It was really tall ceilings, got a great price, quick, nice shuttle. So I was super happy with it. But I did have to go fairly far outside the city, and that was my first sign that something was remiss. Similarly, in Paris, we had to get something really small, really far away, and that was a Comfort Inn that sucked. I literally, my shoulders, and I'm a pretty trim guy, I like to think, my shoulders were too broad to even use the bathroom. I couldn't sit in the toilet because the toilet had walls that were like here. It was insane. And London was no problem. But booking the hotels for Paris and Rome, a little bit of a challenge, but I got past it. And so I didn't realize what was causing it. And then I started looking for attractions. I was going to pre-book things, right? Like I got this trick about the Vatican Museum that'll save you a 5-hour lineup in like 20 euro. And so I was getting ready to activate those things, and I was running into problems. And then I realized what was happening. I was inadvertently, completely by accident, following the Pope across Europe. He was visiting Paris when we were visiting Paris. And then he was returning back to Rome when we were going to Rome. And he was having, events when he was coming back. So that caused problems for me because all of the Catholics, or just tourists generally, Christians, what have you, wanted to go and see the Pope. So I had a moment of, oh God, I'm screwed. Like, I've been to Europe twice in my life, and I'm like, okay, this was going to be my second time. And I'm like, back then I wanted to go every 5 years. And I'm like, oh, it's going to be another 5 years before I can do Europe right. I screwed this up. I cocked this up. I was planning it for 3 other people. I'm like, they're going to be pissed. I'd be pissed if I was them. I don't blame them. But then I got over it. I took a moment, took a breath. And then I was like, wait a minute, no. What's one of my mottos? They go left, we go right. What are we going to do? I found the Pope's loose itinerary about where he was appearing. So when he was going to be at the Colosseum, we were going to be on the other end of town. And that's what I did. So all of the crowds went where he was, and we went to the other end of town for attractions that he wasn't at that particular time, or that part of town that he wasn't at that particular time. So the whole time we're in Europe, despite accidentally following the Pope everywhere, we didn't experience a single lineup. We just walked right into everything we did. And so I think the metaphor holds for YouTube. If you're following the Pope in gaming, I guess that's PewDiePie. I don't know. Apologies to Catholics and Christians there. That's probably a really bad metaphor. But if you're following the Pope of I don't know, whatever genre. What was that, Peter McKinnon of photography or something? If he's your Pope, this metaphor could get me in trouble. But anyways, if they are, and you're following them, that's where the crowd is. Yes, there could be an audience there, but you're one small voice, and there's this giant loudspeaker person on a stage that you're competing with. You're never going to win that fight for attention. But if you go where they're not, if you go to the other end of town, and then you can just own that other end of town. And because we're small, owning that part of town means so much to us. Getting more than 30 subscribers in a day is amazing. It hasn't happened to me. I don't think ever. But to a Mr. Beast, they wouldn't notice because it only shows the top 3 digits. So it probably wouldn't even update on anything. But to us, it's huge. So if we can go where the other people aren't, and what does that mean? That means going where we already are. We don't have to go on a massive adventure necessarily. Our adventure is finding our why. Our adventure is here. What do we know? What do we feel? What are we passionate about? Chase that as hard as we can. There'll be other people running a similar race that might be nearby, maybe headed to a similar destination. And yeah, maybe you care about exactly what Mr. Beast cares about, giving away money or whatever this thing is. Maybe. I care about a lot of the same things Roberto Blake does, particularly with his channel, but some things less so. He's really into camera gear. I'm not so much, as one example. He's really into freelancing work, not my deal. But whatever it is, even in that case, there are those differentiating things. That's what makes you different That's what makes you valuable. And so when you can double down on those things, then the magic starts to happen, I think. And that's when you can start to build an audience. And, you know, we talk about long tail keywords, right? I talk about it in my SEO videos and other live streams on the group. The more words in your keyword, the less competition. So assuming TubeBuddy keyword score is decent, you go for it, you get that. As you grow your audience, as you become known, as you become, dare I say, a personality in your genre, your niche, your locality, whatever it is. When you get people who come and watch anything, the true fans, love to the true fans. Those people who will watch whatever you put out. Those people are amazing. But those people will come and give the watch time and the interactions when you start going after shorter keywords. And so as you grow on that curve, you can become more ambitious in the things you target. You don't necessarily need to go for as long. You can go for a shorter keyword that maybe has more competition. But because you now have your built-in audience, you now have your subscriber base, a very small percentage of which will get views. Remember that. Subscribers do not drive views. But a very small percentage can if they got notifications on and the notifications are actually working. That's asking a lot these days. I'm not salty. Then, you know, when you get the built-in watch time and the guaranteed views and things like that, they kind of happen. Never take them for granted, but you notice a pattern and a trend. You know, you look at like out of your last year videos, what was the one that got the lowest number of views? And that's probably that's your built-in audience. Probably that's the number you can kind of count on, whether it's through subscribers and fans or just your processes of where you share it and your SEO skills, whatever. You're probably, you know, you're guaranteed to get something around that neighborhood as a floor, and then you build upon that. And so as that floor gets higher and higher and higher, you're more equipped to go after the shorter tail keywords. And that's why, again, targeting those meteoric people and saying, well, I'm going to go take some of Dad How Do I's audience, but what he does. No, you ain't, son. I mean, you might if you niche down and you're unique, but if you go exactly after the same thing as him, he's got this giant audience now. I'm talking about him. I've never watched one of his videos. How do you compete with that? Slow and steady. And run your own race. Don't try to eat his lunch. Make and eat your own. So many metaphors there. The Ray rhythm. I mean, you're trying to Rayify the algorithm, right? The Ray rhythm. Sounds like a heart condition. I have a heart condition. Moving on. But yeah, I think it's very exciting. And again, it's speaking to your personal challenges. And you know what the other interesting thing is that like whatever personal challenges you're going through yourself, particularly if you haven't found a great community of support, that could mean that community needs to be created. And you could be the one to create it and provide that thing that people so desperately need. And you might not even know it until you do it. And it is a feeling I cannot describe with words when you get a comment from somebody and you know that it's made a big impact. Like when Ace of Vegas came back to me after, you know, months after I had done his channel review, and he talked about his huge uptake after implementing my recommendations. And like he's working with the people who make the My Vegas app now. They had a partnership recently on a live stream where he had his own code that people could go get free chips and stuff. Like that is an amazing feeling. But there's so many different ways, like, and it's indescribable. My favorite comment ever is now gone because it was years ago when YouTube made a change and the comments disappeared. But I had a video about James Darren, and his granddaughter commented, and she said, look, I always knew kind of what my grandfather did, but I never really sat down and listened to him and gave him a shot. I watched your video, and now I think I get it. I see the passion in his eyes, and, you know, he really is a great singer, and I'm going to go see him next time he's live. He keeps offering me tickets. I can't wait to go see him. Thank you for sharing this with me. There's no words. There's no words when it's something like that. And so if it's something that has some unique challenges and you can give some advice, even if your advice is nothing more than watch me fall on my face not doing it right. I've got a few of those. That arguably my Six Flag video is me not doing it right. But then people see it and they say like, okay, there's other people going through a similar thing. I'm not alone here. Maybe now I can avoid that particular mistake. Oh, I see what they've done since then. It can affect them in really profound ways. And how does that not give you energy to make 30 more videos? I can't imagine it. You'd have to be pretty uncaring for that not to have an effect. You know, we say, you know, don't feed the trolls and stay out of the comment section and stuff like that. Okay, thank you. I have a package. So anyways, I didn't order anything. Is it ticking? I don't hear any ticking. Anyways, so the point is that you can have a hugely positive impact on people. And isn't that so meaningful if it's coming from your experience and things you care about? It can really make a difference for other people. Chris 10 TFF Gaming and Vlog says, good to see you live again. Midas again keeps saying, Ray, how do I grow my channel? How do I grow my channel? People are telling him to chill out. It's like, I would love to help you. I really would. Having a beard helps with YouTube success. I'm trying it, I guess. Anything for fame. Not anything, but I'll let you play on my... there's no good way to end that sentence. What? That would not just... yeah. How are you? I am tired. I mean, I'm excited, but I'm tired. And this is day 1 of 5. I've got this like 4-day plan of trying to boost myself, I guess. I want to take certain things to the next level. I would love to get this channel monetized just so I can see and understand better how, super chats work. So then I can make a tutorial about that and answer questions, because people have asked me about super chat and I can't answer. My other channel's monetized, but the few times I've gone live, it's always on location and it's not that kind of an audience. And so that's one of the things, a goal I have. I want to try and organize the Facebook group so that it's easier to find what you need. I'm constantly telling people to look for things in the unit. So obviously the units aren't serving their purpose well to at least a large segment of our audience. So I recently turned on topic tags, and I'm hoping that's a way that people can find what they're looking for. And I'm hoping as a secondary ancillary benefit to that, it might cut down on those same repetitive questions time and time again. Yeah, let's see. Okay, how do I grow my channel? I do Jurassic World Park toy movies. Okay, let me get this. There's Jurassic World, the movies, and Jurassic Park, the movies. That's a franchise. So the movies have toys. You take the toys and then make movies with the toys. That's cool. Your name gives me no clue. Your picture gives me no clue. What I would, in that case, if your picture was a toy dinosaur, gets you real close, really does. I mean, I'd be tempted to do something with the Jurassic logo, but then you get into copyright issues, so I probably wouldn't do that. You don't want to tie your brand that way. And so honestly, or if you could put your face basically on a toy dinosaur, that'd be very funny. And that would convey some information about what your channel is about. Jurassic Park, let's think for a second about the colors that we associate with that. It's a weird thing to think about, right? I'm still, over the last few months, trying to wrap my head around how to, choosing colors effectively. I don't know about this t-shirt. Is it working? But the colors I associate with Jurassic World and Park, green for the dinosaur skin, red, white, black for the logo. And so your profile is predominantly blue. So I don't have the brand association there. I don't associate blue with dinosaurs at all. There are remarkably few blue dinosaurs. Some, I think, with the little things that come out. There's also, and this is an interesting thing if you guys are looking for something to read, maybe if you're trying to fall asleep and you're not bored enough, but the psychology around colors. So blue is generally seen as a color endearing trust. A lot of airlines use that. WestJet, American, United. They want you to trust them desperately. They need you to trust them. And so a lot of their colors predominantly blue. Red, for example, is excitement. So Stupid Robot Fighting League has this nice kind of a red color. And so excitement. And so that's just something to think about as well as the color choice. So let's see. Can I find Midas? I took one at bat. What if I add Midas, Jurassic World? Still not seeing anything. Let's remove some of the spaces and things. No. There's something called, this Toy Adventures channel is coming up a lot. And this Chris guy, 3 million views on that one video. Channel Nah, I'm not getting anything. I mean, I would love to help you. I really would. But I think this is the challenge you're facing, is that it's hard to find you at this point. At this point, my secret hope is that you are in chat in a different account than the channel you want help on. That's what my secret hope is. Because otherwise, yeah, I think you need to consider a rebrand. I hope it's a weird thing to hope. I hope you're less than 100 subscribers if that is the case, because then at least you probably haven't locked in your URL yet, and you haven't really locked in that brand and name, so it's still time that you can pivot, and it's okay. It gets harder after the first 100 subscribers to make that big of a pivot. I think I made my pivot to Vacation Impossible at like 34 subscribers, so something to think about. Let's see. Velvet Cat says, so true. Self-promo people think that the world is only about them. They don't realize that there are a million of other people that also want to be seen and heard. Yeah, and you know, that's a really, really good point, but I want to expand on that a little bit, because it's not just about that. I mean, I'm not saying that this is what you were saying, but it could easily come across as a little judgy, saying that they don't realize there's other people. I think they do realize there's other people and they want them in their audience. And I think that's sort of what you were saying. But the thing is, and this is a thing that I'm, you know, it's I think it's lifetime learning to a degree. But if you're trying to sell yourself, promote yourself, share yourself, whatever it is, as much as possible, you can't make it about you. And that's super counterintuitive. I mean, my rant earlier was describe what you're doing. That's about you, right? And so as much as you can make it about the potential audience is really important. Show them what they would get from it, the need you'd fulfill, or whatever, the positivity that hopefully you would bring. I think that, that like one way that I've been trying to incorporate that in the way that I talk and the way that I act and the deals that I negotiate, I'm constantly getting messaged by people who are like, shout out my channel, man. And I last couple of weeks, partly reading Chris Voss's book, which I'll probably end up having an affiliate link for in the future once I'm done it. It'll probably be one of my books that I hold up here. I got my let's see. If you start with why and follow your heart, you'll come to realize that you are awesome. But no, these 3 books actually hugely helpful. I strongly recommend them. I've got links to all of them in the description to Amazon US. But none of these are about YouTube. But they're entirely about YouTube, because it's all about following your passion and doing it effectively in a way that helps other people. And that's super important. I think that's where you get a lot of fulfillment from. And so when people have been messaging me saying, bro, shout out my channel in your next video. And so my response lately is, how can I do that if I don't know what your channel is about? Or maybe they say, shout out my gaming channel. I say, how can I do that if it's not something that my audience is looking for? My audience comes to me on my travel channel to save money, to see adventures, to be inspired, to learn things about seeing the world. A gaming video and channel is not what they're there for. Now, some random segment of them will also have that interest, but that's the same as randomly advertising on the side of a bus. It's not targeted at all. And so it's not advantageous to my audience at all. It gives them nothing. That's number 1. Number 2, doesn't do anything for me. I mean, you want to pay me for something, sponsor something, we can talk, but that's a paid promotion, and that's something different. That's not a collaboration. And so similar, small YouTubers boost. People come here to learn about YouTube, to boost their channels. They're not here to discover that, oh, there's a gaming channel out there. Wow, no one's going to say that. Again, some random percentage of you are interested in gaming and might like some random gamer's channel. That is entirely possible. But that's the same as a random ad placed on the side of a building somewhere. At a bus stop. Something. I don't know why I keep going to buses for that. I don't know. Anyways. A TV commercial. I mean, even that, you know, they try to understand the demographics of the people watching the show. And this is just, and so you know, if you want to hear more about that, I have a video where I talk about how to and how not to ask for shout outs, and it dives into that. But when you can make it about the audience, as much as possible, then that'll resonate more. Because people are selfish, and that's fine. They need to be selfish to survive. It's built into capitalism, if you will. And so harness it. Don't deny it because maybe you disagree with it and you wish it was different. I mean, that's a whole other thing. But so, you know, one of the things I talk about is people are lazy. And laziness is actually another word for being efficient. And so if they have to click 3 times to get to the value, are they going to do that? Some might, not many. Most people, too lazy. That's not a bad thing. That gives you an excellent reason to make things easy for them. That's part of your job as a content creator. Make it easy for your audience. Make it easy to love you and find you and understand what you're about. And that translates into everything. It's what you post on social media. It's your channel description, video description, titles, thumbnails. It's all of that. Make it easy. Midas. Hate to keep harping on it, but you did ask many, many times. Make it easy for people to understand what your channel is about with your profile picture and your channel name. And I think you'll find better success. I get fantastic beard updates on Ray's Patreon. Yeah, I have 2 patrons on Patreon, and I kind of feel for the other guy who I think doesn't care about my beard. But I, try to keep the audience happy. How do I grow a channel? I film Jurassic Park toy movies. Yeah, and again, if I could look at your channel, that'd be great. And so, like, the devil can be in the details with that stuff. So, TUBEBUDDY. And read those books. That's what I got. There's links down below. Another thing, I suppose, that could be relevant is you would probably, for Jurassic World, be tempted to use things like Raptors Walk, but you'll probably get a content ID match on that. And so if you're needing music, I do have, I'm personally blessed. There's this guy in my life, his name is Cam. He's great. And he deals with stress by writing music. And he lets me use it. All I have to do is mention him, and because it was this amazing moment. We were at a Boston Pizza one time, and we were talking about stress and stuff. A couple of friends, and Cam was there, and he's like, "Oh, well, I love writing music when I'm stressed. I'll just go and make a song." And I'm like, "That's awesome." And I'm also like, "Tell me more." And he's like, "Yeah, the only downside is that no one hears it. I don't want to sell it. I don't want to be famous, but it would be nice if at least some people were hearing the music. That would be nice. But ultimately, it's just my stress relief." And I just stepped forward and I'm like, "I can help you with that." So that is a 1,000,000 to 1 shot. You can't count on something like that happening. That's like James Rolfe having Kyle Justin, right? The Angry Video Game Nerd theme song. That's lightning in a bottle. You can't plan on that. So for the rest of people, formerly the rest of us, until I found Cam, if you're looking for music that you can use where you're not going to face that issue, Epidemic Sound can be a great solution. So I've got a link in the description to Epidemic Sound. The first month is totally free. And so the way that works is, during your free month, you've got full access to their music and their sound effect catalog. In fact, I was working on a separate project where I needed a good sounding door. The sound of a door opening and closing, where if you heard it without seeing it, you knew that's what the sound was because of the shot I was doing. It was somebody coming in off camera, and I needed it to be clear that it was a door opening. And so I used the various doors in my house, and I tried to get good Foley. None of it sounded right. But I went to their sound effect library, and they had like a half dozen perfect ones. I found just the right thing, and I got a lot of really good feedback on that video. It was for a friend, helping him with his class. It's a whole other thing. But anyways, so during the free month, any sound effect or music that you use in a video that you upload during the month, you own that video for life. No content ID. If you use their sound and music after the free month and you don't have a subscription, then yeah, that will get matched. But the subscription's not that much. If you pay for a year at once, it's $12 a month. If you go month to month, it's $15 a month. So if you're struggling with music, particularly, for example, if you are super tempted to use Raptors Walk or music from movies and stuff that will get claimed. When I early launched Vacation Impossible, before I discovered Cam's secret music interest, I used a little bit of background music from the Mission Impossible movies, and that did not go well for me. Content ID match, not visible in Germany, ad money going to other people, all that kind of stuff. You can avoid all of that. And so, if you want to be real tricky about it, get a whole bunch of videos ready to go, then sign up for your free month and just upload them one every day for like a month. And you can at least maximize that free month. Because if you upload it during your free month, that's protected and yours forever. So that's something I can recommend. It's hard. Yeah, it's hard when I can't see the channel. It's tricky. I had a Patreon, but people started to abuse it. They would join, gain access to extra videos, then they would cancel their account before they get charged. So many times that canceled. Okay, I can appreciate that. That's got to be frustrating. But if we can take a step back from that for just one moment and realize that you had content there that people were willing to commit fraud to get. Now that sucks. The fraud sucks, 100%. But doesn't it feel a little good that people were willing to like debase their morals to get your content? Like, your content's got to be pretty good if they're going to go to that extreme. So that's interesting. But that means that there's a real audience out there for you. I mean, I know that's probably not where you expected me to take this at all. You're probably expecting me to be like, I don't know, try OnlyFans. But like, yeah, maybe Patreon isn't the place. Maybe it doesn't work. Or maybe you need to consider some shrinkage, and maybe you need to consider branding and watermarking the things that go on the Patreon. Because let's say that somebody goes into the Patreon and then they get the videos. Let's say they do really bad. Maybe they download them and they re-upload them somewhere else, a third-party site or something. If you watermark them at least, yeah, that sucks that they did that, but then you're getting free advertising. So at least you can use them for that. So I don't know if that completely addresses the thought, but maybe that's just coming at it from a different angle than maybe your first reaction. Because, I mean, my reaction would be, I want to murder these people. I get that. When I found out that somebody had used one of my videos, they re-uploaded it on their channel to support their super dodgy looking travel agency. I issued them a copyright strike. It's the first and only one I've ever done, but I did that with reckless abandon and joy in my heart. Well, no, vindictiveness in my heart, if I'm honest, because I was so angry. Like 40% of all their views on their channel came from this one video that they stole from me, and the YouTube automatic process didn't catch it for like 2 months. But then I got the notification. They're like, "What do you want to do?" And I'm like, "Oh, I want to issue a strike, baby." I worked hard on that. My buddy Mike, he flew to South America. He filmed it. I spent time editing it. My buddy Cam wrote the music for it, and this person stole it outright to, promote what looked like a super dodgy, if not straight up fraudulent travel agency. No, this person needs to learn. And so I get that reaction, and I'm not saying don't necessarily pursue that, but at the same time, I mean, there is that little counterintuitive bit of awesome that came along there where it's like, yeah, you know what, you got some quality stuff that people are gonna like debase themselves to steal. That ain't nothing. That means you got a quality product. The rest is details around how you do it and where it goes. But is it odd that I'm taking from your frustration excitement about like there's something here? I don't know. I really want to go to the drive-thru, but I can't pull myself away from this valuable information. Well, I mean, you could have it on your phone, and like do like maybe Bluetooth on the stereo, like a podcast. And then when anyone asks, just say, "Oh, this is Small YouTubers Boost. It's Ray. He's fantastic." Let the guys at McDonald's know who you're listening to. I don't know. But actually, no, what I also can say is that these live streams are rewatchable. Anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes after they are live, they should be rewatchable pretty much in their entirety. And so that's pretty good. And then if I'm diligent, I'll come back a day or two later, and I'll even trim out that opening music bit where there's just nothing happening. So yeah, that's just some technical stuff about how you can rewatch this. In fact, in my last live stream, the 200,000 member celebratory live stream, I still have what's left of my balloon. It's shrunk. But anyways, I did one channel review, you may remember. The guy had left. And then ironically, he messaged me on Facebook later. He's like, "Hey man, you seem really like keen on helping people. Could you give me a channel review?" And I'm like, "Wait a minute, you're the dude I did the review on the other day, right?" And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, like I spent like an hour or 45 minutes or whatever it was, 90 minutes, I don't know." You can't watch you can't watch the clock when you're doing that. I prefer not to. I mean, if I'm being paid hourly, then yeah, I do, but you don't undervalue yourself totally. But it's like, it's better if you don't have to worry about that, so you can just focus and deep dive and just go all in. I love doing that. And he was just like, "Oh," and so he was having a little trouble finding when the live stream I began his channel review, but I'm like, just poke around the timeline, wait until you see your channel, and go for it. And so he was really, I was pretty harsh with him in the video, but he took it super, super well and was really nice. Subsequently, he did have a lot of questions that I wasn't fully able to answer because they started to get really in depth, where it was going to be like, I'm going to have to invest a lot more of my time on top of what I've already given for free. And so at a certain point, I had to say, like, I had to kind of cut it off just because I didn't have the time. But that was kind of cool. And so he was able to go back and rewatch it. And so that's one of the reasons I keep these live streams up. You can go back and watch me embarrass myself 2 years ago when I wasn't very good at this. And hey, maybe one day I'll get good at this. I don't know. But the other thing is that, like, we only retain something like 24% of the things we hear. So if you can go back and rewatch it and get a couple more action items or nuggets out of it, or a new idea prompts, if I happen to review your channel, I do actually encourage people to go back and rewatch. And in fact, for fun, I mean, if you can just kind of like bookmark it or something, favorite it, whatever, and then go back to it like 3, 6, 9, 12 months later, just for the moment of comparison to see how far you've come. That can be a great moment, especially if it's feeling a little demotivated. Realizing that, you know what, I'm not racing PewDiePie or Mr. Beast. I'm racing myself from before, and I'm kicking that guy's butt. That's the thing. It's continuous marginal improvement, I think, is the way that we find long-term success as small creators. And you don't necessarily need a giant audience to potentially make some profit off of it along the way as well, if that is something you care about. The account. He will answer your question when he gets to it. Please don't spam the feed. Thank you, Brick World Therapy. You want to be a mod in the chat? I don't know that I can do it easily from here. Can I? Do you want to be? Because like that was add moderator. I'm not exactly sure how moderators work, but I'm just going to do it. I can always take it away later. Boom. There you go. Well handled. I think that would be a great idea for the Facebook group with the rule that they must provide helpful feedback on a couple of people before posting their links. Yeah, I wouldn't want to make it a broad rule across the group, but if it was sort of the instructions on one post that we do weekly, that would be good. One day every week. It would be hard to enforce, so in all honesty, it would have to be an honor system. But that would sort of be sort of the gentleman's agreement, if you want to use a bit of a dated term for that. A lot of people drop links and leave. That's true, but you know, I've been experimenting a bit with negotiation and stuff. Like people who contact me and I'm like, oh, it's a spam or whatever. And like normally I'd block them or whatever. But lately I've been like, no, let's see. Because I've been reading about hostage negotiation. And I'm like, well, you know, if hostage negotiators can do what they do, what can I do? And so I've been playing around with it. And it's an investment of time, so I can't do too much of it. But I've been able to turn some of these spammers completely around. And it's insane. Like, I've been finding ways to express it that isn't combative, that makes them curious, and I pepper it with facts, like the fake engagement policy. If you're not familiar with YouTube's fake engagement policy, I recommend you give it a read. It's like 2 screens. We've got it linked in the announcements section in the group under the rules. It's the very first and second comment, I think, linked to articles on YouTube itself about this, published by like YouTube, the company. And so it's good to understand the fake engagement policy because so many people, the best of intention, end up violating it and then they could lose their channel. And so some of the things I say is like, look, no, I'm sorry I can't do sub for sub because it's against YouTube's fake engagement policy. And I've seen hundreds of channels shut down because of it, and it breaks my heart. Because some of these people put years of work into their channel. And because they tried to take the quick and easy road, they lost it all. And technically, you're not allowed to create another channel after that happens, by the letter of the law. Saying things like that, that's sincerely how I feel. With volume, it gets diluted, but that's really where it comes from. And so that is a bucket of cold water to some of their faces. I mean, some of them are like, I don't care, man. I know how to scam it. I got to watch 2 minutes. Or whatever the latest stupid theory that isn't right is out there. But some of them has made they were like, whoa, what? What do I do? Oh my God, what do I do? Please help me. And I'm like, was not expecting that reaction. I kind of got to help this person now, right? Like I sent them down this road. I can't just be like, no, sorry, you're on your own. I got to help them. So I'm like, okay, stop immediately. If you swear you're done with sub for sub, I'll let you back in the group. You should unsubscribe from any channel that you don't like because you should only subscribe to channels you like. I mean, I guess maybe you could hate subscribe to something if you wanted to. I don't know. I mean, make your own choices, but don't do it for that reciprocal reason because that's the violation. And so I said, like, you know, you got to clean up your subscriptions. You got to stop it. Like, leave any groups that do it. And then just try to stay on the straight and narrow. He's like, well, how do I do that? This is the only way I've known to grow. And I'm like, well, that wasn't growth. That was artificial. That was the steroids that turn you into a rage monkey, but don't actually build muscle. I said, and I point them to stuff. I'm like, TubeBuddy, try this. This will actually help. This will actually make it easier. This will actually make it faster. And then they come back and they're like, okay, yeah, how do I set it up? I send them some tutorials I got on this channel here about how to set it to incognito, how to install the browser plugin, how to use Videolytics and stuff. And then they come back to me and like, thank you, they say sometimes. I'm actually seeing some views now. Before, all I ever got was subscribers. And I'm like, well, that's because you're getting a real audience. I've had a few of those over the last week or so. The problem is I can't do it retail. I can't go person to person doing this. It'd be my life's work. But the fact that I was able to turn a couple of these people from the dark side, that they started off just being these mindless spammers, I'm kind of proud of that. Now, I mean, I didn't tell you that story for no reason. There's a lot of, I think, hopefully useful nuggets there. And some of it might help you in how you deal with it, because you're probably getting spam comments on your videos. You might be getting the odd unsolicited message. I hope it's not as a result of our group. We try to shut that down as soon as we're aware of it. But because they're private and direct, we are not aware of it until somebody lets us know. Preferably with a screenshot, so that we need more than just somebody's word. Oh, somebody told me this now. Send me a screenshot so I can understand the full context. Because the context also determines how we want to respond to it. Sometimes somebody says, hey, this person's harassing me. They send me some screenshots and it's nothing. And so we do nothing. Sometimes it's extreme. I ban them. And maybe I even report them to Facebook if it's really bad. And then there's everything in between, where maybe I'll message them and say like, hey, look, may I make a suggestion? Something like that. So that's just some of how that works. But yeah, that's I really like this feedback for feedback idea. I think that is, I was in some groups many years ago, before Small YouTubers Boost even, 3.5 years hence, I was in groups that had I don't know why I'm doing this voice, had crazy rules. I was in one group that had 10 rules and was upset that they were limited to 10 by the setup of the group. You could only post on Fridays with a hashtag, a particular hashtag. Why? I couldn't tell you. I asked. They had no answer. In fact, when I asked, they kicked me out, and I was okay with that. And that's part of why I take the approach I do with Small YouTubers Boost, is I've been in incredibly restrictive groups where you couldn't do anything. I've been in other groups where you can do anything, and it was a crap show. And so we're trying to strike a healthy balance, 4 rules strong. That's what we do. It's got us here, 215,000 people, which that number blows my mind, and still growing. So, yeah, but it's a learning process, and it's a painful one, and it's hard work for us on the back end to try and get, hopefully these people understanding, like, no, we're trying to help you. We're not being jerks. We don't hate you, although I feel it sometimes. I don't say it. But it's like, the ideal outcome for any interaction, hopefully, is learning. And if it's to the point where it's learning, like, I really think that so much is fixable. And so, like, I could easily envision, I would love if there was a success story I could tell you, where someone started spamming me, I showed them, I don't want to sound like from a high horse, the error of their ways, but if I helped educate them about how things worked, and then maybe they came back with a great idea for a collab and we worked together in the future. I would love to have a story like that, because then I could point to it when these things happen. And I believe it's completely possible, and it's probably happened just maybe with other people. I'm super busy. I don't have a lot of time to collab. Although I will be appearing on the Ace of Vegas podcast on the Ace of Vegas YouTube channel this Sunday, either before or after the live stream I plan to do on Sunday. So check that out. We're going to be talking about Vegas and cruises reopening. So on the off chance that you just love listening to me all the damn time, there's one more chance you can do it. Let's see, Operation Life is in Tombstone, Arizona. Cool. I enjoy that Grand Canyon of yours. Been there a few times. You're probably sick of hearing about it. It's probably like when Canadians hear about how we live in igloos, which we do not. Probably everybody thinks you're right by the Grand Canyon no matter where you live, right? You get a little bit of that. My most popular video has 354 views. How long have you been at it? And see, that's one of the things. If I can look at the channel, if you've been around since February, January of this year, one video, 355 views, that's okay. Not bad. If you've been around for 10 years, like I was, when I had, was happy to get view counts like that, I would suggest, I would make the unfortunate assumption that maybe you hadn't decided to take things seriously yet, but the fact that you're here in this live stream makes me think that now you're ready to. And that's the time to go get TUBEBUDDY, even if it's for free, and do these other things. Nice beard, 5K subs, yeah, that's pretty awesome. And a lot of magic. I am Amagoa. I'm not sure how to say that, but welcome. We've messaged on Facebook before. You're in the group. Awesome. I know you've been clicking like on some of my stuff. Thanks for that. Appreciate the support. Yeah, we started late, but you can go rewatch it later if you want. And I'm doing this every day, 4 or 5 days. That's the plan. We'll see if life gets in the way, if my voice holds up. So many, many more opportunities to get in on the action. But about the 5K subs, for some companies, that's a magic number. You may have heard the tale of Rule of 2 Review, but I'll tell it again. There was a guy, I was in line at Portland Retro Gaming Expo in Portland, Oregon, waiting to meet James Rolfe, the Angry Video Game Nerd, 3 million subscribers strong. Probably more than that now. I haven't looked at it in a little while. I've watched some of his videos. I just haven't looked at his sub count. Lovely guy. So anyways, I'm in line. I'm standing behind this guy, and he starts to mention YouTube. But everybody in line is somewhat talking about it. But then it's very clear that he's talking about having his own channel. So I try to strike up a conversation with him, of course. This was shortly, almost immediately after I had just decided to take YouTube seriously. And so I was sitting at like 34 subscribers or something. Or maybe I was just starting to grow, 75 or something, I think, yeah. And so we struck up a conversation. He was the nicest guy. And he was looking at his phone every now and then. And he says, oh, sorry, there's this thing going on. So this was right before the Nintendo Switch came out. And so Nintendo had contacted him, and the deal was they were going to fly him to New York to try the Switch before it became commercially available, on the condition if he first had to hit 5,000 subscribers. That was a condition of the deal. And he knew from Social Blade and his analytics, things he knew better than I back then, that he was due to hit it any moment. And so he was just checking, because he's like, I can't wait to send that email to Nintendo to say I'm ready. And so I don't think it happened while we were in line, but I think after I got back to Vancouver, a couple days later, I looked in on his channel and he hit 5K. And I had seen him tweet about it and stuff like that, and so it's all very exciting. But he was such a nice guy. And we got to talking, and I'll never forget it, because he was like, look, you don't have 100 subscribers yet, but you're going to get there, no problem. You got the passion. You care about it. You're taking steps. You're talking to me about it. You're educating yourself. You're learning. You're going to get there. And it was so amazing. So for me, that was a big moment. I'm so grateful to him for that, because it gave me a sense of validation that I think up to that point I had lacked. Because I hadn't really talked to people about my channel that were also YouTubers. That was one of my first YouTuber to YouTuber conversations, and it was really, I love it when people are supportive of like that. It probably didn't hurt that I was in a completely different niche, but I don't know that it would have mattered. He was so nice. But it was very interesting to me that the 5,000 was Nintendo's number a few years ago. That's the point where it was worth it for them to buy you a plane ticket. So 5,000, that's an impressive number. Let's not get caught into labels of big and small and play buttons and all that stuff. But it feels like 5,000 for some companies from some niches is a turnkey moment. Where before fewer things may have been possible, and after more things were. And it's funny because on YouTube that doesn't do anything. That doesn't give you a merch shelf. That doesn't give you a play button. That doesn't give you a custom URL or any function you didn't have. $4,999 to 5,000. That transition on YouTube to YouTube means nothing, but to other people out there apparently means quite a lot. It's an important threshold. So I just want to say congratulations on that. That's amazing, and we need to take a moment to feel pride in those things, I think. That's awesome. I'm slightly jealous, but very happy for you. Midas says, I wish I could get to at least 30 subs. Okay, cool. It's still time that you can potentially change your name. I mean, I have to ask, how tied into that name are you? But I strongly suggest that you either change or add to that name to make it more searchable and more clear that that's what you're about. Animation Moo is in the house. I think your first time, but that's cool. I like your name. Animation videos and channels have a special place in my heart. For one thing, my son's a huge fan of animation channels. I think if he starts his channel, he wants to be an animator at present. These things change. Got him a drawing tablet for his birthday so that he can do digital pictures and animation. And so animation channels have a particular challenge. And I've spoken about this to the press. I've talked to the Daily Beast about this, for example, and the Canadian press. Because I point to them as the ones that really struggle under the current monetization rules and the current structure of the algorithm. And it sucks because animation channels make some of the most amazing content. But because it takes so much time to create, the videos tend to come less frequently and they tend to be shorter. So you don't get that consistency of upload and you don't get that watch time. And it pisses me off that that's so important and that the deck is stacked against you, but the fact that you're still at it and that you're sticking with it gets nothing but respect from me. And the fact that you're here investing your time to learn and grow is fantastic. I thank you for that. And I think it says something about you that's very good. And so if there's other things that you can learn here, either in this video or on the channel or in the Facebook group or anywhere else, then that's anything that gives you an advantage. Writing titles for SEO, descriptions for SEO, tagging effectively, using TubeBuddy, all those different things, because you guys have to fight harder. It's an uphill fight for you guys. I really feel for you, and I really hope we can help you in some way. Oh, I never posted 8 videos in one day. I only do 1 to 2 per week. I usually do 1 video every week. Could have been 1 video dropping. That's fair. Another possibility is that if you are subject to copyright claims, like content ID matches, here's a frustration that I experienced. I did parasailing in Mazatlan. I loved it. And I used a Shine Down song, because this was before Cam told me about his music thing. And I loved it, loved it, loved it. And I got a copyright content ID match. That's fine. I was used to them. And it said, oh, you can't monetize the video. The copyright owner will monetize it. I'm like, great. I think that's awesome. That's what I want to have happen. I use their music. They make some money. I get to use the music. More people encounter the music. It's an amazing song. I love this. Yes, good. But the problem is that the label changed their mind, I swear to God, from day to day after there. And you only get the initial notification that tells you there's been a content ID match. And then you click on, you see what the conditions are. But those conditions can change, and you don't get notified. And so what can happen is the video they could change their mind and say, you know what, we don't want you using our music at all. We're going to mute that video. Or we're going to block the video, but only in Germany. Or we're going to block the video worldwide. And so my video count, the number of videos I have that are publicly viewable, fluctuate as these content ID matches update with these companies changing their minds about this stuff. So that's another reason that it might be that. So, okay, now that I know that you didn't do 8 videos in one day, what I would say is that the video or videos that came out around that day or two, I think it was the 19th and the 20th? 18th to 20th? Something in that range. Go look at what those were. Go look at what the traffic was. Go look at the views, where the traffic came from. Something magic happened on that day. And find out what that was. And if it's something you can double down on. Oh, that's the day I tried Reddit, but I didn't go back. Go back. Oh, that was that time I did the funny video. I normally don't do funny videos. Time for more funny videos, if you see what I'm saying. That could be a real opportunity. Now, if that was the time where you were like, oh, that's when I made that video that I lost a bet and I had to make that stupid video. That is a different and more difficult thing, because you have to ask yourself, am I willing to make more of that to get the views in the audience? I think it was Walter Cronkite when he was going after... No, it was Edward R. Murrow, I think. Whichever one of them went after... Oh, man, I'm bad with names right now. I'm so tired. It's been a long day. McCarthy. And so he went after McCarthy in the news broadcasts nightly, pointing out what they were doing with the Red Scare and the purging of lists and naming of names and all of that. It's American politics. You can look it up. But what's important about that is he wanted to do this hard-hitting journalism. Something was wrong. It was potentially illegal. It was definitely immoral. And he wanted to shine a big light on it in the hopes that when people are watching, the bad behavior stops. But he worked for a company. And so they said that the only way he could continue to do that was if on Sunday nights, he did a show called Person to Person, where he interviewed celebrities about their new movies. And that was the deal. And so he did Person to Person so that he could do the content that he cared about. And ultimately, that was the end of Joe McCarthy. So, the point that I'm making there is that might be a choice you might want to think about. I'm not telling you what to choose, but I am hopefully informing how you can weigh that. For one thing, if someone like that can make that choice and accomplish that great good, saving people's lives and careers, unfortunately not soon enough for some, then... if you have to do a kind of video that you're not that in love with, but it brings an audience that you can then share your real passion with, if that's something you're comfortable with, that might be a choice to make. Alternatively, you could be a purist. And you could say, no, I'm not doing person for person, or person to person. Kick me off the news. I'll go stand on a soapbox in the town square. I'll have a smaller audience, but it'll be only what I believe in. And that's a fair choice too. And so I can't tell you how to choose there. But I want to try and inform you so you understand what the consequences and potential outcomes are. So if it is a case where it was something like that, I'm just speculating, maybe we're just guys making videos. Maybe we're artists. Maybe we're something else. Maybe we're muses. I don't know. And you can label us and look at us however suits your experience, personality, morals, beliefs, whatever. But some of us face some difficult choices. And so ultimately, only you can decide what is right for you and your channel. Everything I've told you could be wrong. Almost everything. I mean, everything I've told you in my personal stories are accurate. But my theories about the algorithm and things like that, that stuff is a big fat secret. That's their secret sauce that they, keep in a vault. It's proprietary. Their white papers are always several iterations behind on these algorithms. So, and it's a machine learning algorithm now, so it's rewriting its own code as it goes. It's trying to learn from its own successes and failures and adjust as it goes. But that means that even the people at YouTube, Google, Alphabet don't necessarily fully understand how it's functioning. But that's just what I'm trying to do, is give you guys a little bit more information so you are empowered to hopefully succeed and make informed choices, hopefully better choices. But ultimately, that's up to you. Oh, I'm getting a message. I got a message 34 minutes ago about Midas changed his name. Cool. I don't generally glance at my phone much while live streaming, so I want to give you guys my full focus. But let's see here. I think I'm probably pretty far behind in the chat. Let's see here. I do have crap internet. Could have been one video dropping and re-uploading. That, yeah, that's... Well, and I guess RV life, right? It's probably the cost of that. My internet isn't that bad, but it's pretty bad. Our internet's constantly dropping and slow. We got WeBoost, so that's going to stop now. I'm not familiar with that. It's probably a regional thing. I would much rather have consistent growth rather than the spikes. Awesome. I completely agree, because that's sustainable, predictable, and I think, honestly, if you are ever interested in collaborating with a larger channel or more specifically a company, they are much happier to see slow, steady growth than unpredictable spikes, because spikes and like ups and downs represent risk. So from a business standpoint, I think that's the better approach. Channel name more searchable. Operation Life saying thanks. I just changed it to Jurassic Adventurous Toy Movies. Cool. Oh, it literally just happened. Oh my god, that's amazing. Like, it's in chat now. That's exciting. I'm getting kind of, like, you might notice my energy level is waning a little bit, so I'm probably going to wrap up pretty soon. The problem with a change like this is that it takes a little while to propagate across the platform. So it's probably not there yet. But this is not your last kick at the can. Again, I'm going to be live streaming for the next 4 days, once a day, every day. Hopefully for at least 1 to 3 hours each time. So we'll have more opportunities to take another kick at this. Also, if you want, I apparently now do paid consultations. So feel free to reach out to me directly if you would like to do something like that. We can work something out. The name is a little too long. Yeah, Jurassic Adventurous Toy Movies. Yeah, it does seem a little long. You could, again, get TubeBuddy and you can play around with their keyword explorer, and you can actually test out some things and see how it scores. What TubeBuddy does is it will weigh how many people are searching for it against how much competition there is and give you a score. It will also give you an idea of how many videos currently have that tag. And then you can try variations, shorter, longer versions, what have you. And so like that unexpectedly scored fairly well. And so taking the latter part off, it actually scored not quite as great. And then it also has your history down here at the bottom, so you can easily go back. Oh, what was the other one? I don't remember. The first one's 34. What was this? And then you click over. It was 42. Okay. And so you can kind of play around with that. And again, you can get that for free. It limits how many searches you do per day on the free version, and then the paid gives you unlimited. If you do decide to go paid, if you get the most basic paid version, that is, I can quickly show you guys here, TubeBuddy.com/vacation. Take a look at some of the pricing here. If you want Pro, the cheapest of the paid versions, and you have less than 1,000 subscribers, cuts the cost in half, down to $4.50 per month. And then if you go ahead and you pay for a whole year at once, it works out to $3.60 per month. I think that is an easy investment to make into yourself and to your channel. So it's taught me about YouTube while helping me do better at YouTube along the way. Now, that having been said, that 50% discount for less than 1,000 subscribers is only on the cheapest version. If you want Star or Legend, what I recommend you do, normally $19 and $49, we've got a discount that is the same as paying yearly. It saves 20%. But then you pay yearly on top of that, and it saves you another 20%. So you can get 40% off. To get our discount code, go to the Facebook group and check our announcements. That's where you'll find our discount code that saves you 20%, and it is stackable with the annual payment discount as well, if you want to go up to the higher level. Just whatever you do, promise me you're never going to pay full price for this thing, because you just don't. There's just no reason. Could be easier to search those. Yeah, I mean, like 42 versus the 30 whatever. That was surprising. Think SEO when you choose your channel name. Yeah, and that's the problem, is because people choose their channel name so early in the process that they often don't understand or haven't learned about SEO yet. And by the time they come to the group, they've like often locked in their name by having it across multiple platforms and the custom URL and branding and things, maybe even a website. We watch Ray on our own devices to help his view rating. Thank you. I would like to get my watch time up, so I do appreciate that. Why is he not doing reviews? I kind of was here and there. I mean, it wasn't like an in-depth review. Nobody asked for a review, but I did hop onto a lot of different channels and give some feedback. I posted in some forums and Reddit, but it's a bit high. Wait, it's almost 2 hours? Yeah, we're creeping up on 2 hours. So I'm probably going to wrap things up. I think I'm caught up on chat, or my chat is lying to me. It has a habit of doing that. If your page open, we'll look at one of your videos as soon as he's done. Well, then I better wrap this up so you guys can get to helping each other. That's kind of cool. Super Robot Fighting League had to go to work. Oh, yeah, it looks like my chat probably jumped along. But it's great. I love seeing YouTubers helping each other out, particularly in regards to, giving feedback to each other. That's great. All Lego. Everyone is here for Ray's beard. Beard Army. Epic sounds fantastic, people were saying. Yeah, I personally, I really like the sound effects, because that's what I need. I've got music, but what I need is those sound effects. That's why I have it. I will be asleep when he gets to my channel. I can rewatch this anytime you like. Chat's a bit late. Like a week behind. Yeah, that's true. That's how it happened. Chat goes faster than I can because I like to do deep dives into things. True fan. Yeah, love true fans. It's kind of like metaphors now. Why is he not doing reviews? Nobody asked for a review that I saw. I jumped into some channels, helped out where I could. Yeah, okay, so I think I'm pretty much caught up on chat. So this has been pretty good. A whole bunch of chat was skipped. Yeah, unfortunately it does that to me sometimes. Brick World wants a review. Yeah, I'm toast. I did 2 hours of consultation. I got a video out on Vacation Impossible. I was managing the group and making changes there, so I asked for one twice. I will happily get to you next time. Unfortunately, I am just knackered. And honestly, if I were to do it right now, you would be getting at most 40%, and that's not fair to you any more than it would be to me. So I'm sorry that I missed the request, but I'll try to remember to get to you nice and early tomorrow. And again, yeah, we got 4 more of these things. If each run, if they average 2 hours each, we're talking like 8 hours over the weekend. Oh, the internet didn't send the first one. Yeah, that could be it. So anyway, it's not too much about pointing fingers and stuff like that, but yeah, so there we have it. I normally like to end these things with a call to action, but not for me. Although, yeah, please click like, subscribe with notifications on if you haven't, so you can join the other live streams nice and early. Hopefully I can get your channel review when I still have energy. It's been a long day. But I really appreciate everybody being here. It's great. Good conversation in chat. I really appreciate it. If it wasn't for you guys, I'd be sitting here twiddling my thumbs, and that would be no good for anybody. So because I am the owner of Vacation Impossible, I try to give a mission to everyone, and it's just going to be get TUBEBUDDY. Your mission, if you choose to accept it. If you don't already have TubeBuddy, link is in the description down below. Even if you get the free version, it's amazing. And you know what? I recently, and this is the silliest thing, I recently put out a video here on this channel about its emoji picker. Okay? And it puts a little smile icon next to your title, your description, and comments. So that when you're replying to comments, when you're writing description, you're writing your title, you can very easily add an emoji. Now that might seem a little silly, but particularly I think in the description, adding emojis is a good idea because it breaks up these walls of text. So for example, you see here, this video I put out today on Vacation Impossible. It's American Airlines first class, and then I got a picture of a plane. So maybe not too much in the titles, but I think in the description, it can really help break out these walls of texts and make it a little bit more interesting. And so what I've tried to do here is if you look at the description down below, I've tried to use emojis on this very live stream to help organize the information. The book recommendations has the book emoji next to it. Things like that. We have 5,000 character limit on the description. You can write a little mini novel. You could write a blog post. Some people do very well with SEO when they write a very long description. But having something to break it up. Don't go crazy with emoji. I mean, you can if you want, but I think that makes it harder to read. That's just my taste. So if you don't already have TubeBuddy, go get at least the free version, and then maybe go look at like a description of a video that's underperforming, or if you have a standard template that you use that might include certain links, consider, would an emoji brighten this up a little? Would it add a little color and a little interest to keep those lazy eyes engaged? That is your challenge. And thank you so much for joining us for the live stream. I look forward to seeing you guys sometime tomorrow. I'm not sure when it will be. That's sort of the fun. Hopefully earlier in the day so we can catch a slightly different time zone and demographic, but we'll see what happens. And yeah, so other than that, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been a blast. I look forward to the next 4 of these. It's going to be great. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the Facebook group. Thank you so much. This live stream will self-destruct in 5 seconds.